Today we work with bone broths, a restorative elixir with the potential to repair the human gut and grassland ecosystems. We work with the bones of pure grass-fed animals, and tricks I'll demonstrate today to make a broth that is delicious and nourishing. Now, food is medicine, and when consciously crafted, it can heal both our bodies and our greater planetary body. As we work with the bones of animals, we rewire our bodies to operate on dense nutrition that helps us become fully alive. Hey, so we're making some bone broth today with our bones from True Grass Farms from our dear friends out in Sonoma. Good to see you. We have about 4 pounds today. We got them at the farmer's market just a little bit ago, hang out in our freezer until we're ready to use them. Got a nice mixture of knuckle and marrow bones. All the bones have different properties, so we like to get a variety just depending on what we're going for. We have our knuckle bones right in here. You see that beautiful, rich, fleshy bit right over the knuckle there. It's packed with gelatin, really helpful for the digestion, for joints. Over here we have a tendon. This is all very helpful for the joints. The bones are packed with a beautiful marrow. That marrow will give us minerals and really deep, earthy, rich flavor. Yeah, so I have this meat that's on the bones. Not all bones are packed with this meat, but it's beautiful. And when we roast it, which we're about to do, it's going to impart a really deep, rich flavor into our broth. Yeah, it's got to be delectable. That's kind of the whole point. Now we cover our bones. We're using a pot that can go in the oven. One pot, one trip around the sun. There we go. Put it in our oven, 350 for about half an hour, until it's all nicely roasted. And we're ready to go. Hang around, we'll be right back. Hey, so we're back with our bones. They've sat and cooled for about an hour. We just added enough water to cover them. Use some great filtered water. The fat has risen to the top. Give a really nice, hearty, rich, it's kind of supple taste to any of the food that we add it to. We just let it sit and add any additional vegetables that we're looking to have in the soup at the time. We're looking for things that have a really a well-rounded flavor, especially when paired together, and that are mineral rich. So if there are any weeds that are in your garden that you particularly love, purslane, borage, any comfrey, this is a really nice time to add them. Adding them during this part helps extract the minerals from whatever is being cooked. So we have a couple stalks of celery, nice classic combination over here, some carrots, some really beautiful spring onions, black peppercorns, and for the water that we've added about 4 quarts. We take a 1/4 cup of this apple cider vinegar. I like the Bragg's, but it's whatever is your preference. And I'm going to chop these up and add them to our stock pot over here. Let it sit for about an hour for it just to become a little bit softened with the apple cider vinegar. And we'll come right back after that message. I choose my bones based on what I'm looking for with the broth. Animal parts correspond with the parts of the body that they affect. So if I'm looking for help with my joints, I'll make a broth with primarily knuckle bones. These bones are rich in the gelatin that turns to collagen in the body and pads joints and helps mend the digestive tract. If I seek a particularly mineral-rich broth, I'll opt for marrow bones.
Oof, these onions.
Meaty bones like oxtail are rich in protein and give a great depth of flavor to your broth.
That feels like spring in my eyes. Wow.
Bones have different properties based on the animals that they come from. So by noting what I need and observing the properties of animals, I can target my medicine and make the broth that I seek. Cow bones are especially rich in iron, and I find that beef bone broth can be grounding, as though I suddenly have 4 legs instead of just my 2. Chicken bones make a broth that is lighter in flavor, soothing to aches and pains, and makes me feel like I have wings. like my veggies in pieces that are kind of chunky. They don't need to be perfect by any means. They're already awesome. Any flesh that's exposed, it's chunky size, a very small size, kind of little pieces of cheese here. It's kind of whatever you're looking for. No particular way. I'm demonstrating a process that involves beef bones. This same process can be replicated with lamb, buffalo, pork. Chicken broth is prepared in a similar way, but should only be simmered for 24 hours or the fats might go rancid. When preparing chicken broth, ask for additional heads or feet from your farmer to up the amount of gelatin in the broth. We have our beautiful soup over here. Look at that. Now we're going to add some black peppercorns. Give it a nice little stir. Make sure it's all going to be soaking there for our time. Nice little stir. Let it sit. See you in a minute. And we're back with the pot. Turn it on to medium. Let it sit for a bit till it starts to simmer. And once it starts to simmer, we're going to scrape the top. A scum is going to start to arise from the bones. We'll check in with that. And we just scrape the scum off, scrape it off, let it simmer, scrape it off, and clarify the stock. So give it a really beautiful appearance, a purer flavor. Any residual scum will be left from the broth. Very pure. So we're back with our broth. It's been simmering for a couple minutes now, and scum has been arising. And I've been scooping that scum and putting it into our little scum bucket over here. The scum, it imparts a little bit of a lack of clarity to the flavor, and it also clouds up the broth. So for a nice clarified broth, we're going to run our spoon gently along the top and scrape all the scum to one side and scoop it into our little scum bucket over here. So it looks like all of the scum is skimmed off the top. We're going to move into the next part of the process right now. I'll take our broth and transfer it into the crock that we're going to have it be simmering in for the next couple of days. I like to take a little slotted spoon and transfer the bones first. It makes for a lot easier of a pour. Take the bones slowly and surely. It's nice to have the soup simmering in the garage. You can also have it simmering outside your house if you don't have a garage. Just, it's so hot that animals probably won't touch it. Now if you're doing a chicken stock, like we talked about earlier, you want to make sure to only do it for 24 hours. So it's probably fine to do on the stove, though if you don't like the smell, crock's always an option. Okay, we're going to pour our broth. All those nice juicy bits. Beautiful. Okay, our crock's ready to go. I'm going to take this out to the garage and have it sit for a couple days. Check in with it every 12 or so hours. Make sure that there's enough water covering the bones. And we're good to go. So we've simmered the bones for 3 days, and the broth is really juicy and rich now. We're going to take out the bones and pack it up. We have our crock here. It's been sitting out in the garage. That way it doesn't smell at the house. It's a very strong smelling broth. can have it in your house if you want, but I find it's a bit intense. It's a bit intense for me. So take out the bones. Get all those juicy little meaty bits out there. Sometimes there will be meaty bits that are really delicious. Just set those aside for yourself. Wow, this is a rich stock. So I find that the bones can keep a lot of the liquid, the stock, on them after I've strained them out. So I like to run them through a second pass. Just dump some water on them, let them sit a little bit, and strain them out just like I'm doing right now. Juicy, jiggly, meaty bits. Yum. Ancient wisdom equates bones to the stories that make up the spiritual body. So I'm reminded of the story of La Huesera, the bone woman. Now this elder lives in the desert, where she passes much of her time scanning the arroyos and the canyons for the bones of animals. At night, she takes these bones to her hut, where she assembles them into skeletons. One night, she completes what she realizes is the frame of a wolf. With reverence and timeless patience, she stands over the skeleton and waits. Slowly and surely, a song begins in her. At first a trickle, at once a flood, and as she sings, she witnesses the body of the wolf flesh out, to where it now rises and runs out the door. Oh, how it runs, down the riverbeds and through the canyons, over the hills and deep into the night of the desert. And it runs so fast that at once it begins to laugh. And it laughs so hard that it rises to its back feet and transforms into a woman, who laughs and smiles and runs with her hair flying free. And so La Huesera continues her journey of collecting the bones and singing the songs and living free in her desert home. The bones La Huesera assembles are the bones of our spiritual skeleton. So while we're born whole, much social programming we receive in childhood leaves our subconscious mind wounded and unable to live freely in our birthright of joyful reverence. In time, once we're aware of ourselves and our desire to live freely and fully, we begin to collect the bones that comprise our whole body. Patience, dedication, commitment to the journey. And one day we look down and we realize that the bones we have collected is our skeleton. And so we sing with everything that we have, every ounce of heart and soul, and we see her flesh out. Bones have the unique ability to resurrect the dead in a way that flesh meat just can't touch. When made properly, bone broth is packed with minerals and gelatin that helps our body operate at a high level that comes with being nourished. The minerals and gelatin give us much needed energy while soothing the digestive tract, even going so far as to repair our digestive issues that are years in the making. With our digestive tract healed, we're able to absorb the nutrients in our food and experience nourishment to the core. Nice. See how much it's reduced? We put 4 quarts of liquid in the beginning. And we have about a quart of liquid left. It's really amazing. And for the last 3 days, as it's been simmering, I've gone in every 12 hours or so to refill it with water. Make sure it's all doing its thing nice and safely out there. Okay. So now I'm going to take these bones and add them back to my pot. Over here. And add some water to get all that leftover really rich broth that's kind of sticking to the bones, get that to run off. into the water. Then I'll take that stock. We're going to repeat it like just how we did this process right here. I'm going to take that extra stock and fill these guys, and we'll have our broth.